What's going on, guys? I'm Jason05 Gunner here, and today I'm going to bring you guys the Gunpla News Roundup video for November 2021. And today I've got a guest because this is a special occasion, so I have Hobby Clubhouse on board with me. Say hello, Hobby.
Hey everyone.
Excuse the awkwardness if any seeps in, because we do not already have a language barrier that we have to change to English, so if any seeps in, excuse it, okay? But the reason I brought on Hobby is because he is going to be going off air for roughly a year to deal with things on his end, so I brought him on board just for this special occasion, kind of have like a farewell meeting and discussion about the kits that were announced in November 2021.
Yeah, that's the plan. So my hiatus is coming up probably maybe in a month or so, I don't know. But yeah, so this is an occasion for me and MJ 2005 Gundam to sit down and have a chat over news and Gunpla and everything.
Starting off with the, premium, obviously. Everything's premium nowadays, but this is the final variant of the Perfect Grade Unicorn Gundam that we haven't seen before, apart from, many billions of color variants. This is the Perfectibility, which is going to be a January 2022 release for 33,000 yen. Now, the price does make sense. It's a perfect grade after all, premium, might I add. And it does have all of the armor, equipment, and the lights. I just can't get over how nice this thing looks.
I'm kind of glad I'm going to go on hiatus because I kind of wouldn't want to review this thing. There's so much stuff here.
Me neither.
But I think I do agree with you. Of all the variants, I think I like the unicorn in the white and blue getup the best. And I think ultimately this is a nice package because it has everything. So you can just basically make whatever you want if you don't like everything on the unicorn.
Yep. And it seems that the Armed Armor XC is going to be able to fully fold up in unicorn mode, because it looks as though the arms are going to be able to swing out of the way for the Armed Armor XC to close in on themselves. So finally, a unicorn perfectibility that is completely accurate to the animation short. But this is not the only thing that we're going to be getting for the perfectibility, because we're going to be getting an expansion set for the Perfectibility Divine, which is going to be another January 2022 release for 7,150 yen. So this is basically what if the Perfectibility has the full armor equipment as well.
This is way more extreme and unleashed than whatever radical 90s name they wanted to use. But they kind of blew their load, because this is pretty extreme, and this is a lot of stuff. And I don't know who they're targeting and who exactly they have in mind.
It's just too much, especially with the fuel tank sticking out from the back. And it looks as though the connector is going to be custom made for the Divine, so as to have parts of the full armor equipment on there.
Just building all this stuff feels like a nightmare. How many days would you have to sit down and build all this stuff? And there's so much repetition as well. Maybe some people are gonna find it cool, but it feels like a nightmare to build.
And given that the Perfect Grade Unicorn also has the, what is it called, the Unchained mode, this, if you're willing to spend over 40,000 yen on the entire Perfectibility Divine set, wow. Kudos to you, whoever is gonna do that out there.
I know. I was going to talk about the combined price as well. That is a lot of money. So that's the question people should have in mind. Do I want 22 HG kits, or maybe 22 of the same HG kit, or this thing here? This is a tough sell.
Are you sure about that?
I'm not sure how much of these Bandai is expecting to sell. What kind of crazy people do they think, or do they have in mind when they're making this? I'm a completionist. I literally can't afford this. Oh, but of course, if any of your viewers or if any of your viewers would like this review, and you want to send MJ one of these, fine, go ahead. And I would love to see you suffer and review this kit.
I won't mind building the damn thing, but
no, you have to review it if it's a gift.
Yep, keep it until I settle down in the United Kingdom, because transporting this thing is nightmarish to think about.
The hell with that! I want to see that. So fans of MJ, if you're seeing this, go start a Patreon or something, get some money, get him this kit and make him review it. don't do it for me, okay? I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah. Try me. But anyways, let's move on, shall we? Because this thing right here, nobody knows
This
what
guy.
this is. Yep, the Aile Calamity Gundam. It's another premium release. They had us in the beginning, didn't they?
Wait, so let me get this clear because I'm not the foremost expert on seed things. I'm quite a beginner in many ways. So this was not a previously existing MSV design, right?
No, this is for Seed Eclipse.
So this thing just came out of nowhere.
Yep, this thing came out of nowhere, and
And
it is going to be released in April for 5,500 yen.
my problem with this is that they kind of removed the best part of the Calamity with those like really wonky fat tipped guns, and they gave him an ale pack. I guess that's what they're gonna call this. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not entirely sure what the point of the whole thing is. I mean, it looks kind of interesting. I mean, I still kind of like it, but it's a really weird turn, and I really really did not expect this thing.
It is really weird because everybody was expecting a full mechanic sword Calamity.
Exactly, me too. I when they made the full mechanics Calamity, I thought, well, of course, they're gonna reuse this thing for P-Bandai for the sword Calamity, and well, apparently they didn't, or maybe they might still do that down the line. But we're getting this guy first. But you see this little scythe hammer thing that they haven't said what it is to me as far as I can see, but
Yeah, this. Sorry to interrupt, but this is basically just a combo weapon. So it is in its Warhammer mode. Don't know if it's gonna be like the Gundam Wall's mining hammer, where it can rotate and penetrate armor, and it also has 3 other modes. So this overhung rifle is gonna be called Rifle Mode A. So just basically the drill
Oh,
tip
yeah,
folded up.
oh yeah, that is the same thing. I didn't notice that. That looks kind of like the Fayadine rifle of the Hambrabi.
Yup, it does. And this is Rifle Mode B, which is, in all intents and purposes, just the head folded down and
Yeah, isn't
having
it
an
the same
armpit cannon. It's the same thing with the same barrel, just in a different look, so I don't know how that is going to affect combat at all. And finally, we have the Javelin mode, which kind of makes sense with the beam coming out behind the hammer.
If there's something at least kind of interesting, it's that this little weird wonky weapon thing that they added. I mean, I personally, it's not my favorite thing in the world in terms of how it looks, but as a model kit, I would kind of be interested in kind of building it and looking at it and seeing how they make the thing. So that's what caught my eye. And I'm kind of worried how well he's going to be able to hold that weapon. I mean, he's going to roll like crazy if they don't have pegs in the hand.
Yeah, and of course, we do have some mini weapons, kind of like the gauntlets, shields that can generate beams.
I'm kind of neutral on that. I'm not sure their logic here. I mean, so Aile Calamity here is a flying unit, right? So he can fly.
Yep.
And right after they gave him flying abilities, they made him a melee unit as well, which is kind of silly. So he can just kind of swoop in and kind of rake at people with the weapons. And if that doesn't work, he has even shorter range weapons on his hands. And I'm not entirely sure this is a really sound design from a practical perspective. I mean, I suspect some people are gonna really like this, and they're gonna really, they're really gonna show their hate in the comments, for me nagging on this so much. But it doesn't matter because it's not my channel. It's not gonna be my problem. So you're gonna have to deal with that.
But yeah, to each their own, I guess. On this, I am indifferent on the matter. Okay, moving on. Oh yeah, this is from last month because we do have some concrete information about its release info. So the Gundam Lindwurm is confirmed to be a February 2022 release for 5,500 yen.
I guess we can assume people know the kind of tongue-in-cheek lore joke going on here, right? So the Bawu is supposed is a knockoff Zeta Gundam, right? You know that?
Yep, I know that.
Yeah. So that's kind of like the little tongue-in-cheek thing they're doing here. That the bootleg Zeta Gundam is made to look like an actual Zeta Gundam. Yeah.
But for what they did, it actually looks awesome.
I do agree with you on that. The Zeta Gundams is somewhat iconic shoulders, so the blue shoulders. And if you think about it, we don't get a whole lot of Gundams with blue shoulders. It looks actually quite nice on this, and just changing the head actually makes it look like quite a different MS when actually they didn't change a whole lot here. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a clever little thing that this uses most of the Bawuz's mold, and they didn't actually change a whole lot. But you're getting quite an interesting different MS here.
Until you see this, because they did no, they had no effort whatsoever in hiding the head for the separate modes.
I don't think there's anything they can do about that.
No.
They're working with mold. They're working with parts that weren't exactly made for that head, and they don't. Usually these don't exactly have the biggest budget, so they just kind of have to go like, oh, I guess there's nothing we can do about it, and just leave it as is.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Otherwise, from the looks of it, basically, the entire engineering and the parts that can move on it are almost entirely identical from the RE100 Bawu, and they didn't change anything on it.
So for those of you who want this amalgamation, look forward to February and beyond, depending on where you live. Well, we have some preview photos for the Black Rider, White Rider, and Ifrit Jaeger. So more information is going to be coming in December, so we have a better look at these for now in the form of this banner.
I've been having a little bit of difficulty seeing the making out the details on the black guy in the middle there, but what most caught my eye, of course, is another take on an Ifrit, which is always great because I really like the Ifrit.
Because the Ifrits that I know, like the Ifrit Knight and the Ifrit Custom, both of them are melee units, so it's kind of nice to have kind of like a switch into a long range unit for a change.
Well, actually, they're all close range units because the Ifrit basically is kind of like a goof, but not a goof, and it was always meant to be a close range unit. In my mind, anyway, the Ifrit always seemed to be capable to be of being a multi-role unit, something more flexible. And I guess it's nice that finally here for this somewhat canonically questionable variant of the Ifrit, we get to see the Ifrit in a more flexible role.
The Black Rider, the only thing that caught my eye is the visor, and it looks as though the Black and the White Riders are going to be keeping their variants of the Hades system, so although it's not all the vents, kind of like the Toad's Ritter, that was sticker hell, my god, the sensors are going to be sharing duplicates of each other for the different modes. And the Black Rider doesn't look too interesting as for this look, at least. More info is going to come in December. But the White Rider, I wonder what this crossbow looking thing is going to be for, because the one mobile suit that I remember having a gun like this, although it's sideways, is the Extreme Gundam Excelia with all the different little barrels hidden inside the limbs of the bow. So what purpose does this serve? Because it's not actually a bow, it's kind of like a modified version of the composite weapon of the Pale Rider D2 and Cavalry.
It's kind of strange they put it in this banner here, and they're kind of the picture here is so coy with that angle there because we really can't make out a whole lot from the gun other than the two bits that flip up. It looks pretty big, and I'm not all that confident that the Pale Rider is going to be able to the Pale Rider parts are going to be able to hold this up all that well.
I fully bet the bottom limb is going to be the supporting piece. Not gonna lie.
I'm not a big fan of it at this second from this screenshot, but granted I can't see the whole thing because it looks a little bit like those kind of rulers, those little tape rulers that you pull out.
Yeah.
It makes me kind of think of those. And the head, I mean, a lot of people are gonna make jokes about the head looking like the Asus router.
Look forward to more images down the line. Okay, finally we get to the sort of boring news recap, but this time inserted with Hobby's opinions, starting off with the entry grade Nu Gundam. Now I have expressed my opinions on the entry grade Nu Gundam in the other video. You can check it out up in the cards with my raw reactions, but what do you think about it?
They're skirting the limits of what they can do for an entry grade kit with the Nu Gundam. So entry grades are supposed to be cheap. They're supposed to be somewhat easy to assemble. And originally they had those four major things, right? Like no tools, no stickers. I forgot what else. But they've already broken that one part about no stickers because this one does have stickers. And then they're really skirting the limits of what they call something for a beginner, because it's not a complex build if you compare it to any other model kit, but this is really, really pushing the limits of what I would call a beginner's kit. And of course, on the other hand, I do commend them for at least including some weapons this time. Uh, a lot of people have been talking about this, how you have to take weapons from the high grade kit and then and give it to it if you want fin funnels and you want the bazooka, and that causes a logistical nightmare where you buy this and you buy the HG one and then you're left with basically a stripped down HG Nu Gundam. But on the other hand, it's not the first time Bandai has done this. The very first Nu Gundam that was released, the 1144 one. So Bandai first sold that one exactly in this loadout, with the beam rifle, with a shield, without the bazooka, without the fin funnel, and then later on they resold the same thing and they call it the Nu Gundam fin funnel type. So this is actually not a new thing that Bandai does, and I suspect that Bandai is somewhat calling back to that. Although I feel it's actually also an excuse for them to keep everything within costs and something that they can fit into an entry grade kit.
Probably just like I suspected, they may release a full armament version, kind of like what they did with the Granddaddy Gundam.
I think that would piss off a lot of people. Even right after they're saying, hey, you can buy the HGUC one and you can use the weapons on here, because some people are gonna do this, and I know I would. But then, if you release a full armament one, then maybe what about me? I mean, I listened to you, Bandai, and I went out and bought your thing, and now you're releasing a superior one. I mean, what the hell, Bandai?
We're only getting more cynical about Bandai with each passing moment.
Yeah, and of course, the weapons thing aside, the kit itself is actually excellent, because the HG Nu Gundam, it's a really good kit, and it's a really wonderfully made Nu Gundam. But this one here, for many reasons, it's the better Nu Gundam on the face of it, from what I can see here. Like the side skirts, the color separation, the yellow parts there, those parts there are really excellently done. It's not something I thought they could do on an entry grade kit on this kind of budget. That's just amazing.
It's aesthetically, and in terms of engineering, one of the best ones in the market currently. If you're looking for a more simple aesthetic, not like the real grade, if you don't like that, apart from the fact that this thing doesn't have the actual functional beam saber holster on the left arm.
You see, something else I really love about this kit is that the beam saber holder on the back, the little circular yellow thing, that black detail in the middle is plastic. That is crazy.
Yup.
They didn't have to do it. They could have done it with a sticker, but no, they didn't. And this is on an entry grade kit, and that's stupid amazing.
They kept to their word as much as they could. Okay, moving on to box office poison. Okay, yeah, what do you think about the Satan Gundam?
This especially is really exactly to my taste. Yeah, the little staff thing he's holding, the top there is actually a reference to old SD Gundam things. The thing with the eyes there, that used to be a big bad guy in the classic SD Gundam Knight story that they just call him Xiang, and he was like some evil entity that controlled everything. And they brought him back here, and they kind of merged him with the Zaf logo, which is kind of cool.
The more you know. I never knew that.
And right here, so very clearly, they have all the parts. Ready for you to have Satan Gundam to open up to his Black Dragon mode. You ever heard of the Black Dragon mode?
Yep, I've seen it in Gundam Breaker.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I know he's in there too. Yeah, so they have all the parts to turn this guy into the Black Dragon mode. And oh, look at all that hollow space. That's brutal. All these SD Gundam kits, all these new ones, they're really beautiful from the front, but they're quite often really just brutal from the back, and they're just hollow like crazy.
Yeah. From the front, with all the detail done up, this would be imposing, especially if you open it up. Well, by the way, this is not called the Satan Gundam, for those of you who are confused. This is the Warlock Aegis Gundam.
Yeah, this is the Warlock Aegis Gundam.
Yep, and for something to counter that, well, we've seen this multiple times before, and I don't believe you have expressed your much opinion on this. Not until I asked you to a few seconds ago.
I suppose you don't know, so I suppose maybe you're not aware that this design here takes a lot of elements from old SD Gundam Knight designs.
Not exactly, no.
So the design here is actually mostly based on the Versal Knight Gundam, which is another classic SD design, especially the sword with the two little sides there that with the little horn
In
that
the guard,
flips.
like the
Yeah, yeah,
horns
the
in the
hand,
guard.
yeah, the hand guard there, and the entire shape of it is taken from the Versal Knight Gundam, and especially how it's mounted sideways on the back, that bit too. Yeah, and the visor on the face as well. Overall, yeah, the visor, how that looks, yeah, that's from the Versal Knight Gundam as well. And the slightly uncomfortable little two orbs on the chest, those are intentionally made to look like the Versal Knight Gundam, who has two red orbs in that little spot there. Which, you know, when I was small, my schoolmates would kind of make fun of that because they look kind of like nipples.
Yeah.
But yeah, this guy is intentionally made to call back to old fans that this guy is meant to look a little bit like the Versal Knight Gundam.
So there's even fewer cues from the strike than its name suggests.
And of course, just like the Warlock, this looks like a nightmare to paint. And actually, I do have a small complaint about this kit that the lime green clear parts there, they don't look as nice. They don't look that nice coming through all that armor. I mean, it's nice that they have clear parts, but I think that color should be something a little darker because right now, as it stands, it looks a little funky, being that little light green color right here.
Yeah, and I bet the side effect of that is all the green is gonna be UV reactant. So
Oh, that would be good. I mean, I would like that.
yeah, they've done that to all the lime green clear pieces in the past. So why not this?
Yeah, but otherwise, I mean, I like this. Not that it takes a lot for me to like an SD Gundam, but I appreciate the fan service they're giving to old people like me.
But anyways, we do have a teaser banner for future kits, and I did talk about the straight up dragon and the GPO4 Sandrock crossover guy here. So
Well, yeah, yeah, you said it already. The GPO4 is clearly somewhat combined with Sandrock because that cape right there, it's clearly something, you know, Sandrocky, but it's kind of hard to see what else they have here. The top of the head thing with the back swept black fins. I'm also not sure what that's supposed to be. Probably related to how he looks underneath the cape. But I mean, there's too little here for me to say a whole lot about. Yeah, I like it, but I like all SD things. The dragon, oh my god, the dragon is such a cool concept, but the hollow space on like the inner side of the leg, that's really brutal.
yeah, and that as well. Thanks for breaking it to us that it doesn't have much articulation.
It looks kind of big from the picture right here. It suggests that it may be kind of big. If it's big, then it'll be a little bit better. If it's about the same size as the Gundam, then it might end up a little bit lame as a toy. I kind of hope I'm hoping that as a toy out of the box, it's gonna look nice enough, and those hollow spaces aren't gonna ruin it. That a younger fan who buys this are going to be able to enjoy it. Because, you know, as a builder, of course, you know, looking at it from a builder, it looks kind of like a lot of work, and possibly way more work than I would be willing to put into a slightly simple product like this. But I'm hoping that they have some, you know, that there's some better play value from the dragon there, because the design I like, and the idea I like a whole lot.
Hopefully, the larger trims with stickers. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, at least give us stickers.
Yeah.
Don't make it all white.
Yeah, moving on to the next day, of course, the Real Grey God Gundam. I've gushed over it. Some people may even consider that I'm simping over it because it's a melee-focused suit that can honestly rival the high Nu Gundam in terms of like engineering and articulation and everything about its construction.
I think the God Gundam is a wonderful choice for a real grade because all that fancy articulation. I mean, there is no better suit to show it off than the God Gundam, and clearly they're making very good use of it. Actually, when I saw this real grade, I actually thought back to the Master Grade release. I mean, a lot of people seem to not like not like the Master Grade God very much for because of its age, but for its time, it was amazing in how in its articulation, how it can fold its hands, how it can kick really high, and it really calls to mind that, you know, mobile fighters are actually really good choices to show off this kind of good articulation.
Hopefully, in the next 2 or 3 years, a real great Master Gundam would be in the works as well. Because first of all, the high grade has to be bundled with Funsai Key. Second of all, that's rare. And third of all, it doesn't feel complete without the Master Gundam for it to fight.
I would also take a Shining Gundam as well.
Yeah, me too. Fully transforming Shining Gundam in real grade form. That is one way to rival the Unicorn Gundam's transforming mechanics, so let's see how they do with that.
And one reason I want the Shining Gundam is because with this articulation, maybe we can finally have models that can do that somewhat famous picture of the God Gundam holding the Shining Gundam with Master's arm puncturing the waist.
Note that this thing doesn't have like orgasmic looking armor separation because like I mentioned, more mechanics just mean less swift movement, so of course it doesn't have any armor separation, but that is for the better for combat reasons.
Yeah, well, I don't think you're allowed to say that about RG kits. I mean, some people get really upset. I mean, people got upset when I pointed it out as a fact, as an observation. People say, oh, yeah, well, it's still good.
yeah, but I do have my own considerations. That's to be understood.
No, but I prefer it this way. The God Gundam shouldn't have too many shifting armor panels. It should be simple like this. And this is the better way to go.
Yeah, that's another way to approach it aesthetically. But mechanically, more pistons, more armor movement means less swift movement. So you can't kick people in the balls as fast. Now this is what people have been talking about. The cross arm pose. Maybe effortlessly recreated. I don't know how much effort do you need to put into this.
No, I'm absolutely sure this is not as easy as it looks right here.
Yeah,
that you're going to have to intentionally move things into their positions right here. But yeah, it seems doable without some crazy cheating like the master grade God Gundam. That shoulder joint with the offset arm. This really makes me anxious. On the one hand, it gives us so much range. I mean, clearly the cross arm pose relies on this a whole lot, but knowing RG kits and their somewhat poor reputation for aging like milk, this joint here looks like a really a top contender for breaking the kit in the long run and ruining things.
Yeah, it's rather disconcerting to have so many points of articulation. It is good for a fresh kit, but when you decide to take it off, change the pose like 1 year or so later, then well, it's gonna be as fragile as, I don't know. I don't want to offend anybody.
Yeah, because if you look at this joint right here, that the joint that's slightly closer to the shoulder itself, so the part slightly closer to the left hand side, yeah, that one has to bear all the weight. When it's brand new and the friction is really nice and young and taut, this will be fine. But if there's any kind of slippage, all that weight's going to pull that top joint right down, and it's not going to be a fun day.
And one thing that concerns me with the ball jointed shoulders is that what if they make it too tight, like with the high grade Denial Gundam and all its variants, because that was too tight for its own good and it breaks when you try to pose it. So that's one other thing that concerns me a lot.
Oh yeah, these L-shaped joints are somewhat notorious. If they make it too taut and too hard to move, those L-shaped joints will the stock on the ball joint will break right off. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But this is just insane. And finally, Second Sound Wave mentioned this. It doesn't do the peace sign for the Godfinger, which to me, I don't really mind it that much, honestly. But it is in anime accurate if you're looking for that.
I suspect maybe they have another set of hands. It wouldn't surprise me on a real grade kit that this isn't the only set of hands they give you.
Or maybe these are just the stock hands that they plan to reuse later for, let's say, the Shining Gundam. Well, one good thing is that they are going to be implementing triple layered rings for the real grade, unlike the high resolution, which is just a piece of acrylic plugged onto the wings.
Yeah, I love this so much. This is the first God Gundam to have this proper ring in something that looks somewhat decent. So I really look forward to having this. This is so awesome. No other God Gundam ever has given us this. I've seen builders try to make it, and some do a pretty good job, but I would love this as a retail thing that people can actually buy and use. Yeah, absolutely.
I think this is the first, if not one of the few God Gundams that have the joints in the wings.
If the Master Grade one doesn't have it, then none of the others have it, because I know the others don't have it. because I have basically every other one.
Fair point. We don't have much information about this. We only have a poster, the Full Mechanics Raider Gundam.
I guess it makes perfect sense that they're going to continue making Calamity's other friends. I'm not entirely sure how well this guy is going to sell. I mean, I people like me, crazy people like me, we would be happy to buy it, but in the larger market for other more casual Gundam fans, I'm not sure if anyone's dying to have a Full Mechanics 1/100 Raider Gundam.
We can foresee a Forbidden Gundam in the future unless they pull a high grade after calling the wing move on us and not give us the Shenlong for, I don't know, a few decades. But
No, I hope not, because of the three, the Forbidden is probably the best of the three, I think.
for what it is, the Raider Gundam looks good even with black. The details are plentiful and it does have very nice color separation. If you want a Raider Gundam, this is a very solid option.
The Raider Gundam is a challenging design to make look good because originally it looks kind of goofy with the really thick cannons on the arms, which here they kind of on the right arm there they thinned it down a little bit to make it look less silly, and the they don't call it the Gundam hammer, right? Well, I don't know what they call this thing. That thing there is also kind of challenging to make because and overall the entire Raider Gundam is not one of Okawara's better designs. It's really blocky and it's really clumsy looking. And here, at least from this picture, he looks rather sleek. And I'm kind of looking forward to at least how they're going to update the design. And that's one of the things I'm looking forward to in this kit.
Yep. We have to wait and see. This is going to be coming out in May, so not too long to wait for some people. I don't know, months go by in the blink of an eye. But moving on. Okay, this is what I was very excited for, and especially with the leaks that came out. Don't take it as conclusive proof. Those are leaks, but this is probably called the Gundam Asmodeus. But one thing that is for a fact is that this was the design that was revealed on New Year's Eve of 2017. With the grenades, the blocky head, and of course the gigantic things on the back over here that are apparently Tonfa's, telescopic ones might I add. This is definitely finally the unknown design revealed way back when, made into reality and implemented into Uruzu Hunt.
This whole video is just entering a lot of negative territory. I learned about this a few days ago when the Japanese people started kind of talking about this online. Yeah, it clearly it's that same thing, and it's yet another. I think it's a misstep on Bandai's part. They shouldn't have teased this thing. They could have just shown us the thing itself since we've seen it already. So it kind of ruins it because right here they make it look like it's some kind of new thing, when actually they're yet again recycling whatever they have in their back room.
As for what it is right now, they are drumming up it to be kind of like a big thing that is going to be revealed later on. And for those who are uninitiated, don't know who this thing is, it doesn't really deserve this kind of like a drummed up like teaser. They could have just showed us, oh, this is the Hybrid Gundam Asmodeus. It's going to be receiving a kit with all of these armaments, capabilities, and look forward to that in an unknown month or season of 2022.
And that's exactly right, and that's something that worries me as well. What they're doing here kind of makes me feel, it kind of makes me suspect that they don't have a whole lot else that they have left to support Raider Hunt. So they have to take whatever is left in the back room, and they have to make the most of what they have. And that really worries me. And this looks like them scraping the bottom of the barrel and really kind of struggling to get something out there and to make it look as exciting as they can. And also, I'm also kind of worried how if this is a brand new kit, then that would be wonderful. But I'm also a little bit worried that this may be some kind of half-finished kit that they had before, and right now they're just kind of dusting it off and then just finishing it up and sticking it in a box and selling it to us. That would be terrible. I sure hope that's not the case.
Me too, but except this is not actually the bottom of the barrel, because if I may go on a tangent here, there are a ton of designs. They could have released the Enzo, they could have released the heroic grays, the monkey grays. There are leaked designs, kind of like the new mobile armor and its mini machines. There is the monkey Rhodey and the Tewas frame. But there are a ton of designs that they could have gone for. Hell, I would like even if they don't do Gundam Asmodeus, if they do a model kit of the Schwab Custom, I would still go for it because it is an awesome design.
So what you've just said is actually terrible news, because I didn't know about most of those. I didn't know they had that many designs. You know, it means that if they had all those designs and this is what they're pulling out, then perhaps more likely than not, this is whatever they have left that they prototyped or they made to some degree, and they are indeed just finishing it off. And like, this is whatever is the cheapest for them to finish up and put into a product, and they can't go for any of the other ones because perhaps they don't have the budget to make anything from scratch. You know, you and I mean, we're gonna buy it still.
Yeah, still, because with my wealth of demonology knowledge, I'm of course gonna buy it, but we'll take it for what it is. More news is gonna come down the line, obviously, so let's hope that it comes out soon. And as for the release schedule for December of 2021, we first of all have the high-grade Zaku 2, which is a direct variant of the high-grade Universal Century Shard Zaku 2, but weirdly enough not listed under the same line. I'm interested to see what they are going to be doing with that. Moving on, we do have the entry-grade RX-78-2 Gundam full armament version, or full loadout version, whatever you want to call it, with all of the weapons like the Gundam Hammer, beam effects for the beam sabers, the beam javelin, beam rifle, shield, bazooka, everything that has been included in the past for the entry grade RX-78-2 Gundam with a few extra additions. Moving on to the 11, I know some of you guys are looking forward to the Amaim Ghost. We have the Chongqi Strike Freedom Gundam and the Cleopatra Cubile Dark Mass version for SD Gundam World Heroes. Finally, we're going to be getting them after multiple delays. And for the second wave of breaker kits, we do have the Blazing Gundam and the Gundam Perfect Strike Freedom. And the 17th of December has the entry grade Strike Gundam Light Armament version, which only includes the army lives. And finally, to end off the year, we don't have much apart from the Amaim and a ton of water slide decals for you to use. Moving on to the premium Bandai releases, of course we do have the two 30-minute mission kits, and we do have the apparently lottery based, but anyways, it's basically the Nike versions of the high-grade Universal Century Unicorn Gundam and Banshee. And then finally, something interesting, the high-grade Zabanya and Harut's final battle versions. I don't know if you guys want me to review them. Please tell me in the comments below whether or not you want to see a review of that. And finally, for the Gundam base, we're going to be getting a Master Grade 1/100 scale version Ka, Wing Gundam Zero clear version. Moving on to delays, unfortunately, because we do have a ton. 30-minute sister stuff is all going to be delayed. I can't really read, not that I'm really into 30-minute sisters to care about what they're called, but SD Gundam World Heroes kits are going to be delayed for very obvious reasons. First of all, starting with the Author Gundam Mark III and the Caesar Legend Gundam, delayed from January 2022 to April 2022. And then 4 kits that are delayed from February to May. We have the Robin Hood Gundam Ace 2 and the Night Strike Gundam. Finally, for delays from March to June of 2022, we have the Saizo Gundam Delta Kai and the Night World Warhorse. So if you are looking forward to any of these 6 kits, unfortunately you're going to have to wait for a bit longer than anticipated. And after the boring stuff is over, that's going to wrap it up for this video. I know it's a bit long. I'm going to try to trim all the fat, but it is a very fun discussion with Hobby Clubhouse. And yep, it's nice having you here, Hobby.
Thank you for having me, and it's a nice chance for me to speak off script, which barely anyone ever gets a chance to hear me do this.
Yep, so this is the true version of both of us. So yeah, with that out of the way. Yep, check out Hobby Clubhouse's channel in the description, and if I can, I put it up in the cards because I still don't know the limitation of cards. But check out his previous stuff, especially his high-grade C Gundam review, because that's one of my parting gifts for him. But that's gonna wrap it up for this video, and thank you all so much for watching this video. If you like it, please be sure to drop a like, comment, and also subscribe for more Gunpla reviews, Gunpla news, and all that kind of stuff. Check out Hobby if you haven't, and turn on notifications for my channel, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out.